This is the Kitchen Sink WP podcast, episode 559.
I program my home computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster.
We have the technology. The technology.
Hello, everybody. This is Adam Silverly, host of the Kitchen Sink WP podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events. We have two next weekend. We have WordCamp Romania, November 14th and 15th. And we also have WordCamp Port Harcourt, which, where is that exactly? I'm not sure where that actually is. It is in, I believe it's in, I don't know where this is actually. 35 Oulu. Let me just see where this is real quick. Live, real quick, right now. I'm not exactly sure. It's in Nigeria. That's actually what I thought. I did look it up earlier. It's in Nigeria. So yeah, WordCamp Harcourt, November 16th, a single day camp. Check that out. All right, moving on. Segment one in the news. Two things to talk about here. WooCommerce apparently has a new logo coming early 2025. I have a link in the show notes about it. There's a little video, I believe, as well. Pretty interesting, kind of a cool looking logo if you're into logo redesign, whatnot. So check that out as well. And lastly, WordPress 6.7 is scheduled to drop on the 12th, which will be the day after this episode drops on the 11th of November 2024. So yeah, that came up fast. I mean, in my opinion, it just boom, here we are. So WordPress 6.7 drops tomorrow if you're listening to this on the day this episode comes out. So of course, before you upgrade and do anything, you want to make sure you have a backup and go from there. So okay, moving on, segment two, meat potatoes. It's been 8 weeks, so it's time once again for listener Q&A. I have 3 questions sent in. 1, 2, just double checking. 3, yeah, 3 I believe here. 1, 2, 3. Yes, yeah, okay. Anyway, so first and foremost, first one is from Joey, listener Joey, who has been a long-time listener, also was a listener to Get Options with Kyle Maurer. So Joey writes in, "Hey Adam, hope you're doing well. What happens when a plugin author decides to remove his or her plugin from the plugin repository? Will my installed plugin be gone as well? Thanks for your advice." So hey Joey, it's a good one. It's timely. There are some developers pulling their plugins right now from the repo. That being said, the answer first and foremost is no. It's not going to disappear from your site. That doesn't work that way. The functionality that is providing will continue to work. You're safe there as well. And all that being said, what will happen is this. No more updates will come automatically. You'll stop receiving those, including the bug fixes, security patches. This can make your website vulnerable to security risks, of course. So that's a concern. And again, like I said, compatibility issues is eventually something to consider because a plugin might conflict with other plugins, or as themes get updated, or now with the new versions of WordPress core, that could be compatibility issue as well. So typically, like for example, if you have a premium plugin with the serial number attached and it expires, you're not re-upping the maintenance aspect of it, or the licensing, if you will, it'll still work. It doesn't go away, but you don't get the updates. So then eventually there will be a time in the future that something is going to break. Trust me on this. It is going to break eventually. When? It's hard to say. So right now, the plugins that are being pulled are being redistributed either directly from the companies or through GitHub. Typically, it just depends. So keep that in mind. But no, you'll continue to get functionality from that plugin. You just won't get updates and patches, etc. And compatibility will be an issue. Great question, timely, etc. All right. This next one is sent in by Selby. Selby writes in, "I accidentally clicked on some advert apparently, and now for some reason I keep seeing ads for, quote, no code builders, end quote, a lot lately for websites and apps. Do you know anything about these and or suggestions?" Well, actually, as a matter of fact, yes, I have heard of these as well. To be honest, technically, WordPress and its competitors could be considered no-code, i.e. drag and drop page builders. Wix, Squarespace, they are technically could be considered, I guess, no-code. Additionally, there are also no-code app builders, for which I have actually personally been diving into just as a side thing. I was just curious months ago. It's been about at least 6 or 7 months ago, off and on, with the intent of possibly doing a series of reviews here on the podcast, which is I'm which just looks like I'm going to probably do now in the future. I can see and having a feeling that our world might be heading that way more and more, not just in WordPress, but just kind of people want to have tools and learn more about it as well, code, whatnot. So services like Glide and Bubble.io are the ones I see most often. And I'm a fan of trying to be ahead of the curve, see where things are going, learn, pivot, etc. So I've been looking into that. And just recently I had a run earlier this week where I figured out how I would use, like what I would do to try to build, what I would try to build consistently across all these things. Like the way I did I did another plugin review, a series of something, and I know what it was. It was the forums. I was always using the same methodology and the same type of site, so it'd be consistent. So same thing here. Anyway, that'll probably come up in the next week or two. Probably 2 weeks from now, I'll probably have a review of how this might work and how you might want to implement it in your offerings. I don't know. We'll see. So check that out. But yeah, Glide, Bubble.io. I think there's something to be said there. I think it's an interesting look at how to build certain things. At least from a perspective of, how do you want to word this? MVP, getting something out quickly with an idea. Okay, so, all right. And the third question, this is a short episode, I believe. Yeah, third question here is, how's the job market in the WordPress space as well as in tech in general these days? Who sent this in? This is no name. Anonymous. Okay, well, anonymous. Well, it depends on who you ask. Some companies are hiring, some aren't. Some people are jumping from one company to another. But from what I did see in my research, I found a couple things here. First and foremost, 3 key trends. One is there is a demand for specialized skills. WordPress remains a very valuable skill. Higher demand, though, in security, custom plugin development, and some accessibility expertise is being highly sought after. Okay. Number 2 is focus on full site editing and block-based design. With the FSE becoming a core part of WordPress, developers and designers who know how to work with those are, I think, probably have a strong edge if they're going down that path as well, looking for some type of work. Again, my agency, we don't use FSE just because it's not in our stack at the moment. I keep toying with the idea about it, but we'll see if that ever happens. And number 3, content-driven SEO and performance optimization. A lot of businesses prioritize SEO and speed. So there's an increased demand for developers who can optimize the core web vitals, also ensure ADA compliance, etc. So understanding how to balance the design with speed, especially on mobile, is becoming a very valuable skill. So on the issue of WordPress and the job market, it's evolving towards specialization, long-term client relationships rather than just one-off projects. All this being said, I'm going to link in the show notes if I remember to do this. I just heard the podcast earlier this week, or last week actually. Syntax.fm had an amazing episode regarding tech and hiring from developers' perspective outside of WordPress. More of a broad stroke. They had a recruiter on, so definitely worth the listen in that arena. And that recruiter said from a perspective of what to know or how to really make a living, still believes back end versus front end is where things are headed. So Python would be the tech that he said the most relevant. So, which was interesting. And so there you go. It's one of the episodes of Syntax.fm. I will put a link in the show notes so you can have that as well. So is that it? Actually, I have one more question here, but I don't have an answer. The question is this: SSO sign-ons. Have I ever used them? Any opinions? And again, this is not sent in by anyone I know. I don't know, no name on this one, just kind of came in randomly. So it's weird because I'm actually just asked my developer to look into this. We have a project that we might want to use SSO on. SSO being single sign-on, using the Facebook or Google or Apple to sign on, using those accounts to sign on to a new site. I don't have an opinion on those. I personally don't use that service in any capacity on any of my things that I log into, but this new use case has presented itself. So when I have an answer for that, anonymous, number 2, I will come back in 8 weeks with an answer for you how that went if we go down this path on trying to figure this out. In theory, it could make it easier. And again, this is actually a connection, just so you know, out there, trying to connect, create a site for a forums site. Once again, it's FORUMS, not form, but forums. And this group is leaving Facebook, in theory, coming to a forum, which I'm all for, but having single sign-on might help that transition as well. So I don't have an opinion. I just don't use them personally. and I have no experience with them. I just want to share that with you because I got your question. Didn't want you to have to wait another 8 weeks. Well, you're going to have to anyways. Anyway, so that's it. Okay. All right. That's it for this week on that. Segment 2. Segment 3, moving on. Tip and tool of the week. This one's a video I want to link in the show notes. It's the 10-year anniversary discussion between Natalie McLeese and Nathan Tyler. They recap the last 10 years of building a SaaS business over at NSquared. They make draw attention and simply schedule appointments. They kind of sat down and had a discussion of the past 10 years, which is really interesting. So I'll link to that in the show notes as well. It's over on YouTube. Check it out. So if you're interested in knowing how that goes as far as teaming up with somebody, having a partnership and running a business together, it's worth the listen, worth the watch. So there you go. All right. I'll link that in the show notes. Well, that is it for this week. If you have any questions, go ahead and send it in via email. It'll come up in another 7.5, 8 weeks from now. We'll get that out there. You can use the speak pipe function of the website if you want to hear your voice on the show. If you want to support the show, you can do that. Become a Patreon. You can buy me a coffee as well. Links on the show, on the website there. You could sponsor the show. There's a form on the website. Get right back to you. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right. Bye-bye.